is the 77 WABC minicast.
Anyway, my friend Lionel with you on another side of midnight. Let me preface this by saying, obviously, I'm not a professional. I'm not anything. I'm just fascinated by the permutations of aberrant or aberrant human behavior. And we talked about people who cut themselves. And it's something that, remember, if you or somebody that you know or love are in the midst of this particular episode or episodes like this, do not hesitate for a second in seeking professional help, obviously. But as I've studied this, as I've heard this, as I've read about this, people who cut themselves as a way to cope with overwhelming emotional pain. This is as it's described. Anxiety, kind of a numbness, anger, trauma, or feelings that they can't easily express. And for many people, by the way, it's not about wanting to die in the least. Instead, it can become, at least the way it's presented, as a way to temporarily release kind of emotional pressure, regain some sense of control, or as they say, this is an interesting concept, to transform or to convert emotional pain into physical pain that feels easier to manage. It's complicated. But it might be releasing tension. It might be punishing. It might be feeling something. This notion of, remember that, who was it, 9 Inch Nails? Johnny Cash redid it. I cut myself just to feel, just to bleed, just to know I'm here. This is something that, remember, if you're in the position of dealing with this, years ago, Tom Cruise, who spoke rather negatively about psychiatry and the like, pursuant to one of the positions of Scientology. They are absolutely against psychiatry, psychotropic medication, and this sort of thing. And I can kind of sort of dig maybe a little bit. But if you've ever had to see something involving a full psychotic episode, it is one of the most tragic things you have ever seen. And how it hits, oh my God! They're normally in their 20s. I'm trying to get this woman's name. You got to read this one woman. She's fantastic. They're in. Oh yes, Ellen Sachs. This is a prominent legal scholar. She has a PhD in psychoanalysis and a JD, and she's schizophrenic. She's schizophrenic. And it's called The Center Cannot Hold, and it normally starts. You're in the prime of your life. Your world is ahead of you. You've just been accepted. You're in college, or your child is, and invariably you'll get that call, and the call will come from campus police or your son or daughter's roommate, and your child is maybe nude or screaming or scaring or threatening or not bathing, not showing grooming or physical care. And you think, oh no. And then you turn to the professionals. And people like Tom Cruise would come along and they would say that we are a drugged society. And that may be true. And that we are dealing with the big thing now is SSRIs. Oh, the SSRIs, stay away from them because they make you crazy. Who was it? Kamala Harris's daughter-in-law, the model. If she's a model, I'm Eleanor Roosevelt. And she, of course, came out because SSRIs, and again, I'm not an expert in this, but there's a suggestion that SSRIs make you crazy. And SSRIs, there was a recent episode between Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan. You might have heard about that one. And the bottom line is simply this. The people who tend to need SSRIs might be experiencing a certain degree of psychiatric problems, fugues, whatever you want to call it, which causes them to take the medication in the first place. So consequently, they may have a greater propensity or tendency to commit self-harm or hurt somebody else. So correlation versus cause, it's another story. It is so complicated. So many people that you see on the street, the real problems are people who believe they should be institutionalized. We'll get that in a moment. We have more coming up. I haven't even scratched the surface of everything I want to talk about on this, our Memorial Day version of Another Side of Midnight with me, Lionel. More coming up, so stay tuned.